Tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about politics, as we always do. I'm going to keep tonight's show short because, as some of you may know, the Bills are in the middle of rallying the Packers, just like they did the Steelers. And I want to catch the second half of the game so I can watch them run up the score to devastating effect once again. If you're an Aaron Rodgers fan, what can I tell you? He's really not having his night. Did sneak a touchdown out, however, I guess. Um, Dangerous Doug Mastriano is way off in the polls. And why am I bringing this up? If there's a red wave, Doug's little boogie board isn't even going to make it to shore, okay? That's how far out of step he is. In a season when Republicans have structural advantages, we know that Joe Biden is senile and idiotic. Mastriano should be way ahead, but he was a terrible pick by the Republicans. As you know, I picked Lou Barletta, who for some reason, God forbid, has said he would endorse Mastriano at this late stage, which is desperate and inappropriate. I lost respect for Lou because of that. Mastriano is claiming he loves Israel better than most Jews do. That was his most recent kooky statement. I guess that maybe came from his wife instead of from him. I read a little bit about his wife. They wouldn't attend the sister-in-law's marriage because they don't believe in divorce. And so even though the sister-in-law was previously divorced, she couldn't possibly get remarried because, well, you just can't get divorced. Not beg on abortion as well, as we know. So, of course, I wanted to also remind you, QAnon claims credit for Paul Pelosi's beating. Well, actually, not really, but QAnon's at least partly responsible, as is any extremist rhetoric. So whether it's extremist rhetoric that causes a Democrat to shoot a Republican congressman, or extremist rhetoric that causes a nutball to follow along with the Q world. And if you guys follow Q, you're crazy. Walt Disney's still doing well. I just want to remind you that again. And a bunch of you guys I can think of who complain about Walt Disney and tell me what an evil corporation is you'll never support. We'll, of course, be watching Monday Night Football tomorrow night, helping Walt Disney make money, right? Now, let's get down to the meat of tonight's show, because, again, I told you it's going to be very slow. Fetterman had a stroke, and it shows. And it's possible it doesn't mean anything. It's possible that cognitively he's still there, and he's just having auditory processing issues. But if you don't have a baseline to compare the guy to, and the only introduction you have is the debate, even if he only has auditory processing issues and he's completely cognitively there and or going to be back to full capacity shortly, I can't imagine that Fetterman can win at this point. It's possible. And a lot of people are going to vote for Fetterman because they don't want to vote for Oz, or they believe he's a vote in the abortion wars that are going on in the votes, right? And so let me talk about Herschel Walker at the same time. It's come out now that he drove a second woman to get her abortion. And that woman actually provided a more proof that she was in a relationship with him, etc. She was anonymous in a press conference. I guess all these women could be lying. That's always the theory, right? You know, I think one of these Republican women was referring to them as skanks or something. A little victim shaming, I guess. But anyway, people on the right wing are saying, who cares about Herschel Walker, right? And I'm going to tie that into my midterm prediction. People say, who cares about Herschel Walker? You know, he's going to vote the right way. People are like, well, who cares if John Fetterman had a stroke? He's going to vote the right way. And that's where we're at. We're stuck in this weird world, right? Where people are picking a candidate and saying, well, I can't possibly vote for the other guy, and this person's going to go the right way on a few key issues. I heard a Republican woman talking about why she would vote for Herschel Walker. And she said, because he loves America. Yeah, all the other stuff, but he says he loves America, and people don't get that he loves America. I don't doubt that he loves America. It's been pretty good to him, right? Fetterman probably loves America too, but he doesn't love America the right way. But interestingly, we have people that are going to vote for one or the other for no other reason than they're the only candidate they can conceive of themselves voting for. This is a twofold problem. One is the candidates we're getting. And Oz is not an extremist. In fact, I will gladly vote for Oz because he's a New Jersey liberal who has slid his nose into the tent, so to speak. with Trump's endorsement, and he's playing the more conservative side. But that's not the true Dr. Oz. Dr. Oz used to be against fracking. Dr. Oz used to be okay with a lot of abortions. Dr. Oz had a lot of different opinions, but he was on TV. Trump liked him. And it's who Republicans picked in Pennsylvania. And so I'm enjoying deliciously that some of you who would scream about how evil somebody is because of their viewpoints are going to vote for that same person with those viewpoints in Oz. Why? Because he has the right letter next to his name. I think Fetterman or Oz would make a fine senator, although, again, I still have a little concern about Fetterman's stroke. On the other hand, in the gubernatorial race here in Pennsylvania, I would take Shapiro over the other guy any day of the week. So I'm going to be one of the R's, Republicans, right? You guys know what that is, who will split his ticket. And there are a lot of Republicans who are going to do that. A lot of Republicans are not going to vote for governor because Mastriano is just too extreme. So my predictions for the midterms in Pennsylvania: Shapiro will handily win governor. Oz will win senator. Herschel Walker may yet win Georgia. I'm not convinced of that. Kerry Lake may win in Arizona. I'm not yet convinced of that. I think that the Senate will be 50-50 or slightly Democratic, and the House will break heavily towards Republicans on the margins. And there'll be enough votes to push that there. Trump, in the meantime, is moving money out of one PAC that he can't spend money on himself into a much bigger, different PAC that will allow him to spend money on himself. And the election experts seem to think that's the only reason to move the money this way, because he's not really spending it on candidates. But we'll be able to save some of the money he's collected from all those nice people who wanted to stop the steal and fund his fights and run that into his presidential campaign. So I suspect we're going to hear Trump announce right after the election. The interesting question will be who gets rounded up after the election and who doesn't on the January 6th issues and on the Mar-a-Lago issues. So that has yet to play out. And so I suspect Trump will announce quickly to try to beat the punch, because it's always pays. Oh, and a little side note, just to remember, the 4-year experiment down in Brazil with Belisario is over. Lula, kind of a lefty, has swung back into power down there. And so Brazil continues to do what the United States does, which is kind of flip-flop back and forth. Interesting how these trends are global, and they're struggling with the same things. It's kind of like inflation. It's all global. Anyhow, that's my wrap up. We'll come back to this. I am going to do some special stuff for the election coverage. I've got some ideas, so we'll see what we can put together. I also am working on a guest. He is a comic, an artist in the comic arena, an interesting fella. Known him for a long time, and he has a very politically charged comic, and we're going to have him on to discuss it. I'm going to let you take calls. He's going to take calls from you guys about his political viewpoints. So that should be pretty interesting. That's coming up. I'll let you know when. Don't forget to like and share, please. Like and share. Thank you.